What if there is no moon stabilizing our planet? Almost three-quarters of the world's population lives within 31 miles of the ocean. But without our lunar companion, these coastal regions would face dramatic changes. Currently, the Earth's axis sits at 23.4 degrees relative to our orbit around the Sun, creating our predictable seasons and climate patterns. However, this delicate balance isn't guaranteed. If the moon disappeared, Earth would experience catastrophic consequences. The moon holds Earth's 23.5-degree tilt steady, and without that stabilizing influence, our planet would wobble much more dramatically, severely affecting our seasons and climate. Additionally, Earth used to spin on its axis faster than it does today, as the moon has been gradually slowing our rotation while simultaneously drifting farther away from us. What would happen if these regulatory forces suddenly vanished? In this article, we'll explore the scientific reality of a moonless Earth and why our celestial neighbor is far more than just a beautiful sight in our night sky. Tidal collapse and oceanic disruption without the moon. The tidal rhythms we take for granted would fundamentally change if our moon suddenly vanished. Most people don't realize that our lunar companion generates two-thirds of Earth's tidal forces, with the sun providing the remainder. Sun's partial tidal influence after lunar loss. Without the moon, would tides disappear entirely? Not quite. The sun, despite being 390 times farther away than the moon, would continue exerting its gravitational pull on our oceans. Nevertheless, tidal ranges would shrink dramatically to approximately 40% of their current strength. In fact, the sun, with about 27 million times the mass of the moon, would become the dominant influence on Earth's dramatically weakened tides. What happens to coastal patterns we've relied on for millennia? Instead of the familiar twice-daily tidal cycles, Earth would experience predominantly annual tidal variations based on our planet's elliptical orbit around the sun. Collapse of intertidal ecosystems and coastal food chains. The intertidal zone, that dynamic space between high and low tide, would face catastrophic disruption. This region currently thrives thanks to tidal churning that distributes nutrients. When those robust tidal movements diminish, what becomes of coastal life? Crabs, mussels, starfish, and countless snails rely entirely on regular tidal patterns for survival. Without these predictable rhythms, these species face possible extinction, triggering cascading effects throughout marine and terrestrial food webs. The ecological consequences would be particularly severe for uplifted coastal areas, where studies show large brown algal assemblages struggle to recover even from minor disruptions. Disruption of ocean currents and heat circulation. Ocean currents, particularly the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, AMOC, play a crucial role in distributing heat globally. These currents fundamentally depend on tidal movements. How would heat distribution change without lunar tidal forces? Tropical regions would experience dangerous temperature increases, while northern areas might plunge into prolonged cold periods. Furthermore, the loss of the Gulf Stream would result in rising sea levels along the U.S. eastern seaboard. Impact on coastal climate regulation. Tidal movements currently stabilize Earth's climate by helping distribute warm water around the globe. Consequently, a moonless Earth would likely experience more extreme temperature variations. The tropics would become increasingly hostile with challenging living conditions, whereas Western Europe would lose its source of warm water, resulting in severe cold snaps and increased storm frequency. Indeed, these disruptions would not simply alter regional weather, they would fundamentally reshape global climate patterns upon which billions of people depend. Earth's rotational and axial instability in a moonless future. Earth's rotation defines our perception of time, yet few realize how dependent this fundamental rhythm is on our lunar companion. Without the moon, our planet's rotational dynamics would undergo dramatic shifts with far-reaching consequences. Loss of tidal friction and slowing of Earth's spin. The moon currently acts as a cosmic brake on our planet. Through tidal friction, it gradually slows Earth's rotation, adding about 2.3 milliseconds to our day length every century. Should the moon vanish, this braking mechanism would immediately cease. Initially, Earth would maintain its current 24-hour rotation, yet over thousands of years, Other celestial influences would begin affecting our spin in unpredictable ways. Have you ever wondered what Earth's rotation was like in its infancy? 4 billion years ago, Earth completed a full rotation in merely 6 hours. Without lunar influence, our planet might gradually accelerate again, potentially returning to shorter days over geological timescales. This acceleration would create stronger equatorial bulges and more extreme weather patterns across different latitudes. Unstable axial tilt and disappearance of predictable seasons. Perhaps most concerning, Earth's axial tilt would become chaotically unstable without lunar stabilization. Currently, our axis maintains a remarkably steady 23.5-degree angle relative to our orbital plane, creating our familiar four-season cycle. The moon essentially functions as Earth's gravitational anchor. Remove this anchor, and computer models show our planet would experience dramatic wobbling, with potential axial shifts of up to 85 degrees over just a few million years. This instability would render seasonal patterns completely unpredictable. Imagine regions experiencing tropical conditions suddenly plunging into Arctic climates within a single human lifetime. Historical role of the moon in 24-hour day formation. Geologically speaking, the moon has profoundly shaped Earth's rotational history. When our satellite first formed approximately 4.5 billion years ago, Earth rotated much faster. Ancient coral fossils offer compelling evidence of this transformation. Their growth rings indicate years with more than 400 days during the Devonian period about 380 million years ago, meaning each day lasted less than 22 hours. Essentially, the moon has been steadily extending our day length throughout Earth's history. Without its continuous influence, this carefully balanced system would unravel, disrupting everything from agricultural cycles to biological rhythms that evolved specifically under these lunar influence conditions. Biological and ecological consequences of lunar absence. Beyond physical disruptions, life itself depends on lunar rhythms in ways we rarely consider. The moon's absence would trigger profound biological consequences across ecosystems worldwide. Disruption of coral spawning and bird migration cycles. The lunar cycle orchestrates one of nature's most spectacular events, coral mass spawning. Along the Great Barrier Reef, this synchronized release of eggs and sperm represents the largest sexual event on the planet. Corals coordinate this remarkable timing based on lunar phases, with spawning typically occurring several days after a full moon. This precision ensures genetic diversity crucial for coral resilience against extreme temperatures and diseases. Accordingly, without the moon, this synchronization would collapse, potentially preventing successful fertilization altogether. Bird migration similarly relies on lunar guidance. European nightjars become more than twice as active hunting insects during moonlit nights compared to dark periods. Furthermore, these birds begin their autumn migration approximately 10 days after the full moon, with individuals synchronizing their departures. Recent research also reveals that geomagnetic disturbances caused by solar activity reduce migrating bird numbers by 9 to 17% in both spring and fall. Without the moon's stable influence, these navigation systems would likely fail catastrophically. Nocturnal predator-prey imbalance without moonlight. Moonlight fundamentally shapes predator-prey dynamics. Certain species exhibit lunar-philic behavior, including pronghorn and black-tailed jackrabbits, which increase activity with rising moonlight. Conversely, coyotes display lunar-phobic tendencies, becoming less active during brighter nights. This delicate balance would vanish in a moonless world, potentially causing population crashes or explosions as predation patterns drastically shift. Potential mass extinctions in coastal ecosystems. Mass extinctions would likely follow the moon's disappearance, starting in coastal regions. Numerous marine species rely on lunar cues for reproduction, including fish and marine worms. Most notably, streaked shearwaters show clear behavioral cycles matching the lunar cycle, 30.5 and 28.9 days, becoming more active during full moons with longer flight periods. The elimination of these precise timing mechanisms would ripple through food webs, ultimately threatening countless species dependent on lunar synchronized life cycles. scientific, cultural, and exploratory losses without the moon. The moon serves as more than Earth's physical stabilizer. It's a historical archive, exploratory stepping stone, and cultural cornerstone worldwide. Should this celestial body vanish, humanity would face losses extending far beyond physical and biological realms. Loss of lunar geological records of early Earth. The lunar surface preserves invaluable geological records that would disappear along with our satellite. Unlike Earth's constantly recycling crust, the moon maintains a relatively unchanged surface, offering scientists a window into our planet's distant past. Have you ever considered how much of our understanding about Earth's early formation comes from lunar samples? Impact on future space missions and water sourcing. Throughout modern space exploration, the moon has served as humanity's proving ground, our first extraterrestrial destination. Without it, what stepping stone would bridge Earth and deeper space? Moreover, recent discoveries of lunar water resources would vanish, eliminating a potential refueling station for future Mars missions. Cultural and religious implications of a moonless sky. In Hinduism, a moonless sky symbolizes profound emotional desolation and sorrow. The concept appears in Purana text, where a moonless sky represents both physical darkness and metaphorical despair experienced during Rama's absence. This imagery illustrates how deeply the moon is woven into human emotional experience. Additionally, the term moonless night carries multiple meanings across traditions. In Dharma Shastra, it specifically designates times for performing Pitria rites, ancestor worship, while metaphorically representing periods of diminished creativity or inspiration. On Amavasya, new moon night, many Hindus believe departed ancestors visit Earth, making it an auspicious time for ancestral worship. End of total solar eclipses and lunar calendars. Perhaps most tangibly, lunar calendars would become obsolete. Many cultures worldwide still follow lunisolar calendars, including those across East Asia, China, Japan, Mongolia, Korea, and Vietnam. Although lunar calendars present practical challenges, requiring alternating 29 calendar months and occasional intercalary months to align with seasons, they remain culturally significant. Imagine celebrations like Hanukkah, Chinese New Year, or Ramadan without their traditional timing mechanisms. These observances would require complete restructuring, severing connections to ancient traditions. Prior to Julius Caesar's calendar reforms in 46 BC, Western culture also primarily used lunar-based timekeeping before shifting to our current solar-based system. Conclusion: Earth without the moon presents a stark reality far more catastrophic than simply losing our night sky companion. Throughout this analysis, we've examined how lunar absence would fundamentally reshape our world across multiple dimensions. Coastal regions would face immediate consequences as tidal ranges diminish to 40% of their current strength, destroying intertidal ecosystems that countless species depend upon. Marine food chains would collapse, threatening biodiversity beyond our shorelines. Have you ever witnessed the precise choreography of coral spawning under moonlight? This remarkable synchronization would vanish entirely. Seasons as we know them would cease to exist. Without lunar stabilization, Earth's axis would wobble chaotically, potentially shifting up to 85 degrees within just a few million years. Picture Alaska suddenly experiencing tropical conditions, while former equatorial regions freeze under Arctic temperatures. Daily life would transform as our planet's rotation potentially accelerates, creating shorter days and more extreme weather patterns. Nighttime ecosystems would fall into disarray as predator-prey relationships built around moonlight cycles become catastrophically unbalanced. Birds would lose crucial migration timing cues, while nocturnal animals would face entirely different hunting landscape. Perhaps most surprisingly, human culture itself would require dramatic reinvention. Ancient lunar calendars that still guide religious festivals and cultural celebrations worldwide would become obsolete. Total solar eclipses, those rare moments when humans glimpse the sun's corona, would never occur again. The moon does more than illuminate our nights, it stabilizes our existence. This fragile balance deserves our attention and appreciation. If you found this scientific exploration fascinating, subscribe to our YouTube channel for more in-depth analyses of Earth's complex systems and cosmic relationships. After all, understanding our moon's profound influence helps us recognize just how perfectly tuned our planet is for life. The next time you glimpse that silvery orb rising above the horizon, remember, it's not merely reflecting sunlight, but actively preserving Earth's habitability through gravitational forces that have shaped our world for billions of years. Key takeaways. Without the moon, Earth would face catastrophic changes that would fundamentally alter life as we know it, from collapsing ecosystems to chaotic climate patterns. Tidal collapse would devastate coastal ecosystems, ocean tides would shrink to 40% of current strength, destroying intertidal zones and triggering mass extinctions in marine food chains. Earth's axis would wobble chaotically without lunar stabilization. Our planet's tilt could shift up to 85 degrees over millions of years, eliminating predictable seasons entirely. Biological rhythms would collapse across species, coral spawning, bird migration, and nocturnal predator. Prey cycles would fail without lunar timing cues. Global climate would become extremely unstable. Tropical regions would overheat while northern areas freeze as ocean currents lose their lunar-driven circulation patterns. Human culture and timekeeping would require complete restructuring. Lunar calendars guiding religious festivals worldwide would become obsolete, severing connections to ancient traditions. The moon isn't just a beautiful night sky object. It's Earth's gravitational anchor that has shaped our planet's habitability for billions of years. This analysis reveals how our celestial companion actively preserves the delicate balance that makes complex life possible on Earth.